while you're in the Army, while you're in the Marine Corps, you may just think, I'm the average Marine, I'm the average soldier.
Normalcy.
Yeah, because everybody around me is just phenomenal. Until you get out and you go into the civilian world, like Guy said, and wow, I'm not normal. He's really not normal, by the way.
I could see it.
Yeah, but there's so many intangible things that the veterans bring to the workforce, to the civilian community, and it's all too often overlooked.
No matter how hard life is, we got a Charlie Mike. Let's go.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Charlie Mike, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Raul, and your co-host is William.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's so nice to be here. We're coming to you from the Pearland Podcast studio in Pearland, Texas, just south of Houston. How are you, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Living life. You had me working for some reason.
I know. It's so nice to see you out here working.
I don't like it.
I know. I'm sorry. Man, it's been great. We've had a good roll of guests coming on, and we will not let you down. We got more guests lined up, especially today.
Yeah, we got a lot of good guests coming up.
Yeah, life is good. Life is good. And so today, you guys know I spent a little bit of time at Fort Sam Houston, and that's when I first got exposed to the name of Combat Marine Outdoors. And I knew who they were, I know what they do, and then when I got here to Houston, by happenstance, I ran into Mr. Guy Gerard, who was at my son's wrestling gym, and I was like, I know what CMO stands for, right? Let me see what I can do to get him on. And we connected, we started exchanging messages, and he was like, I think it would be even better if we got Colonel Orr on, and he introduced himself as Alan. So as Alan is here too. So gentlemen, welcome to Charlie Mike, the podcast. Could you give us a 2-minute, 30-second overview of who you are and who you represent today? Go ahead, Mr. Guy.
So my name's Guy Gerard, retired major in the Army. In 2016, I became a part of Combat Marine Outdoors. And then as time progressed, I realized just what an incredible organization it was. So now I volunteer as an escort. We take out wounded warriors on, hunting, fishing, golf, skeet, a ton of different outdoor activities where we connect them to the outdoors, but we also connect them to other veterans that are part of the program. So my role is as the escort, and it's just to kind of bridge the gap between the veteran and the, either landowner or organization that has volunteered either their land, their time, or their resources to support us in our quest to support veterans.
That's awesome. What do you prefer to go by? I'm sure everybody calls you Colonel, right?
You can call me
because
whatever you
it's a huge, it's a feat, not that major is not, it's just, we all know, right? It's like Sergeant Majors come out, we're just like, Sergeant Major, right? Doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah, you can call me Al. So Al Orr, I started Combat Marine Outdoors somewhere around the 2005 area. Yeah. I was a battalion commander out in Camp Pendleton, visiting some of my guys who were at the time Brooks Army Medical Center.
Yep.
Before it changed names, and just kind of realized a need to give these guys something to do. If they made it out of the ICU and they made it past, the really difficult times associated with, at the time, the burn center was the big thing. If they survived that and got out of the ICU and went into an inpatient facility, at some point we'd get them healthy enough to come off the medications we put them on, and just so many of those guys had nothing to turn to except just alcohol and isolation. And we owed them more than that, right? And with a good friend of mine, Congressman Hunter, the older one, not the younger one, he decided actually one day we were hunting pigs, and he said, hey, Colonel, we should take some of those guys at BAMC on a hunt. And it wasn't even my idea, right? But from there, we took 6 guys out to the YO Ranch, which I'd never heard of before. Unbelievable the change in those guys on the way out to the ranch and the way back from the ranch. And that actually is what made me really want to continue to do what we were doing. So the drive out to the ranch, 6 guys in a Suburban with a congressman, and those guys didn't say a word for 2 hours driving to the ranch. All pretty badly burned and pretty injured. On the ride home, those 6 guys didn't shut up the whole drive back. They were texting their families. They were laughing, and they were different people.
How long were they out there?
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Not a long time, right? But it was tangible. The difference in those guys from start to finish was pretty incredible, and I don't really know why, other than they were veterans out with veterans in an environment where they could be themselves. Nobody really cared what they looked like. It was pretty powerful. So we continue to do a little bit of that for the first couple of years. I got a master gunny that really runs the program day to day. I don't do anything really with the program. And he took that to where it is today. So last year we took almost 800 veterans into the outdoors, completely free to them, start to finish.
That's amazing.
We cover the cost of everything: airfare, transportation, lodging, meals, food, taxidermy, meat processing, shipping, clothing if they need it, ammunition, everything. And to take 800 guys into the outdoors doing that is a pretty expensive proposition. Didn't really realize what I was getting into when we started this, but it's been just incredible. And it's really, I know for a fact, it has changed lives for guys for the better. So that's kind of who I am, what I do. I still am the president of the organization. I do all the stuff nobody wants to do, though. Insurance and finances, and these guys get to do the fun stuff, right? But without the board of directors and what we do, those guys couldn't do what they do. So that's pretty much what I do.
That's quite amazing. So thank you both for being here. Really, I know you had quite a long drive to be here. Maybe not so much for you, Mr. Guy, but still, it's just south of Houston, so we all know how traffic can be.
So how many years have y'all been actually? I just realized that your shirt is full of Texas State.
Yeah, pretty badass. I love it. I wore it on purpose.
I just realized that right now when I was looking
pretty
at
bright, actually.
Yeah, I know it's surprising. So for those of you listening on audio, Colonel Orr or Mr. Owl is wearing a camo shirt, but they're all the shape of Texas.
It's
really nice.
I like that. Yeah.
And it has his name on it. This way you can't give it away.
If this goes well, I could get you one.
What was your question, bro?
How many years have y'all been?
This is 18, I think, right now.
Wow, 18.
18 years. Now, it didn't start out at 800 guys a year.
Oh, yeah.
It started out at like 8.
Understood.
Right? And it was Al Orr funding the program, and he doesn't have a lot of money. So it has grown over the years, and probably in 2008, 2009 timeframe, we converted it into a 501c3. Which helped a lot from a fundraising perspective. Let us take a lot more guys out, right? Because it wasn't just me trying to fund the program.
Right.
And it's grown considerably. I mean, we have an annual expenditure roughly $1.2 million. We do a lot of fundraising, obviously, to make sure we can keep taking these guys into the outdoors. So it's a bigger endeavor than I originally started out to do. I just wanted to help these guys. And it kind of grew into this.
What did you picture at the beginning when you started this? What did you picture?
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
So I had Marines from the battalion who were at BAMC in the hospital, and I was going there every month to visit them because I was a battalion commander. So you got to go visit them and their families. And if you're at the hospital, especially as a lieutenant colonel at the time, you're going to visit all the Marines who were there. And we had about 60, 65 Marines at BAMC at the time. And, we could do a lot better than what we did back then. This was early on after OIF. So we didn't really have our shit together when it came to taking care of these guys. And it was pretty poor. We got a lot better. Obviously, so did the Army, so did the Navy. I mean, everybody did. But I don't think we were really prepared back in 2004 for kind of what we were getting into from the person perspective, right? The injuries and that's one part of it, the medical piece of it. But we weren't really prepared for the emotional, psychological aspect of what we were doing by committing these young men and women into harm's way. So, our program doesn't. We don't provide bandages. We don't provide medication. Nothing we do is from a physical perspective, but it's all to heal that warrior psychologically, emotionally, get them reconnected with other guys who have shared experiences. They're not all the same. Obviously, you've been on a trip with us, right? Mm-hmm. So every trip's a little different. The ranch is different. The guide is different. But I don't think we've had a bad trip in 18 years. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And that's because the warriors that come out with us make the trip. It's not me or us. And then, of course, the landowners who are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
We hunt all over the world, so we take these guys to Africa, to Canada, Mexico, New Zealand, and a lot in Texas. Other states, Michigan, we do a hunt, Colorado, but mostly in Texas. So Texas has been really good to us. And one of the advantages, we can hunt year-round in the state of Texas, right? You got exotics, you got pigs, you got coyotes, you got varmints, and then you got fishing, which we can do year-round as well. So it's kind of the perfect place to do what we do because you can hunt all the time. I mean, and we have guys out almost every day of the year with the program.
Plus, it's Texas.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Texas, right? I mean,
You said it right. It's the perfect place.
How do you beat that? Yeah.
So are y'all both originally from Texas?
No, I'm originally from Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Okay, I can hear it now.
Yeah.
Oh,
The way he said Louisiana
He's
was
got some
different.
Cajun in him.
Yeah.
Which means the food afterwards is delicious.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm originally, I guess, from Michigan. My dad was a Marine. He spent 27 years in the Marine Corps, so I'm really not from anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll say Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your military service. What made you enlist? Maybe some of
Commission.
the. I'm sorry.
What made you commission?
Oh, I'm sorry. Commission. my bad.
Well, actually, we can tell the clients we use it.
Yeah. So what? I mean, did you start off? That
Yeah, so I'll go first. Just coming out of high school, wrestled, played football, very athletic. Really wanted to go to the next level in football and wrestling. Just was a little burned out. Had some friends that were like thinking about joining, and had a really good friend of mine that had graduated the year before, came back. We were at wrestling practice one day. He had joined the Marine Corps, and I was talking to him, and he was telling me how hard it was. And that is what drew it to me. And so I actually did enlist.
Oh, wow.
And I came into the Army as a private, ended up going through a green and gold program, got my commissioning, and then went off as an officer. But that's what pulled me into the service. It wasn't, I joined long before
Right.
9/11.
Can you share your 9/11 story with us?
Yeah, so my 9/11 story, we were actually at the range doing a machine gun range, and we got a call, and in about an hour or 2 hours later, we didn't know what was coming, but we were already packing,
Wow.
ready to go. But it was it was kind of disbelief for us, because whenever I joined, probably same as Colonel Orr, we joined in a peacetime environment. And so we were always training. We never stopped training. We never stopped preparing. But whenever something like that happens, for us in the military, we knew immediately this was going to be something. We knew immediately we were going to respond.
Yeah, no, we were just talking before the show with about Mr. J coming in. He shared his story too, and for us, Raul and I are both post 9/11 veterans. And so Jay said during that show it was a complete honor to lead those men because they all knew that they were going to war. And I'd never seen it. I may have had a squad leader say that before, but it was just reassuring when he said that again, right? And I can hear it, in your voice, and I want to believe that that's also why you guys continue to do what you do now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand his feeling. I mean, at the time, I had that same sentiment. There was a piece where I was like, yes, let's go. Like, let's go do this. I mean, it's tough. You train for something your whole life. You want to be able to perform what you train. I've since changed that sentiment. But at the time, I mean, we wanted to go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My adrenaline is pumping already, bro.
I can't. What about yourself, sir? I'm curious about how you started. Where did you said your father was a Marine?
Yeah, so my dad was a Marine. He was an enlisted Marine. Same thing, got an appointment to the Naval Academy. Got commissioned as a Marine officer. He retired as a lieutenant colonel. I mean, my whole life I grew up on Marine bases and around Marines. And from the time I was probably 3 years old, I knew I wanted to be a Marine. So graduated high school, got a scholarship from the Marine Corps ROTC scholarship, and went to the University of Michigan. Graduated from that, barely.
Was it really barely?
Yeah, it was really barely. We're going to edit that out, though.
Honor student.
Anybody that was there with me knows it was barely. That's a long time ago, though, right? I mean, yeah, that was a long time ago. I went in the Marine Corps, normal stuff. Nothing unusual. Did the Desert Storm thing, which is a little before your time. You might not have been born then.
No, I was born.
Yeah, and so
Early 90s.
yeah, it was a long time ago. 9/11, I was in Quantico. I was at the command and staff course. I was a major getting ready to pin on lieutenant colonel, sitting in a classroom. I mean, it's a 1-year program. We send the majors to. And kind of funny, I told my wife the whole time that she was worried about deploying again and going off to war, and I said, I'm in Quantico. I'm the last guy to deploy. And about 3 weeks later, General Mattis came to Quantico, grabbed me and about 4 other guys out of the SAW program and said, "You're coming with me." So yeah, that was a pretty quick trip. But I mean, honestly, all of those experiences over almost 30 years as a Marine. I mean, you don't become a Marine to get rich. You don't become a Marine to be famous. You become a Marine, I think, because you have a desire to serve. And then as you're in the organization, you stay a Marine because of the Marines. Yeah, they're why we exist, right? You don't really need officers to run the Marine Corps. I mean, you could do that with the enlisted Marines. You need officers to take care of those guys because they're young Marines. They do stupid shit, but
Yeah, we all do.
yeah, well, sure, yeah, right. But that's kind of what led me to do what we do now, is a love for those guys. We started the program taking out all Marines, and then realized, well, as our resources grew and we had the ability, there's a whole lot of soldiers out there that need what we're offering. And then we eventually opened it up to all services because we had the ability to do that, right? And as much as we banter among each other, I mean, the love we have for each other as brothers goes far beyond the service. Because, I mean, we serve right next to each other when the bullets are flying, and it doesn't really matter what service you're with. So taking care of those guys it's important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we as a country committed those young men and women, you young men, into harm's way. And we owe it to them to take care of them on the other end. So if they happen to become injured in the service of this nation, we owe them more than a bottle of Jack Daniels and a barracks room. And that's what we provide, right? So we try to get them out of that environment and into something a little more positive.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. Like, I know different branches make fun of each other and talk mess about each other. But I think it's a I think Tupac said it. He said, we might fight amongst each other, but I promise you this, you get us pissed, we'll basically team up together and burn this down. Yeah. That, I don't know. That's what made me think of that. That was off subject, but I just wanted
Completely.
to say that.
I love it though.
The banter is fun though.
Oh yeah.
And we actually encourage it on our trips.
Yeah.
We have fun with each other. It breaks the ice a little bit. I had a good friend of mine. He was actually one of the special operations commanders for the Swedish Army. And he came, he was staying with me. He lived with me for a good period while he went through Ranger School and a couple other things. And he sat me down one day and he's like, man, I really got to talk to you about something. And I said, what is it? He's like, I'm so confused. And I said, what do you mean? He said, why do y'all hate each other so bad? I said, no. I said, you don't understand. I said, whenever you got 5 services that are all the best in the world, you want to be better than them. Who would we compete with?
Yeah.
There's nobody else in the world to compete with. So you got to compete against yourself at that point.
That's the best way I've heard it said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So how did you become involved?
So I had a friend of mine. He owned a ranch, and he volunteered his ranch and land to a CMO event. As with any programs, right? You kind of don't know what you're getting into. A lot of times it's kind of like a leap of faith. And so he reached out to me. He knew I was a veteran. We been knowing each other for years and years and years. And he said, look, I've invited this nonprofit organization to come and be on my ranch for the weekend. I really want you to come because I don't know a lot about them. And you being a veteran, you can kind of help me with them. And I said, yeah, no problem. So I went just to cook for the weekend. And I ended up meeting the veterans and the escort that was there at the time. And I fell in love with the program, absolutely fell in love with the program. And I saw firsthand what that did for those veterans. Just so powerful. Colonel Orr was talking about, very quiet at the beginning. By the end, they're talking. I mean, I watched that unfold. And we've replicated that thousands of times now. But I knew right then and there, watching the transformation in those young men and being around other like people was just so powerful, so powerful. And I could physically see them getting better, just in their mannerisms and what they were saying, how they were acting. And it was right then and there that I said, look, I really want to be a part of this program, and anything I can do to be a part of it, I will. And so I reached out to them, and that's what started the journey I'm on now.
So I can imagine that feeling never gets old though, huh? Like on that van
doesn't.
ride back or whatever the case may be.
It doesn't, and I will. I mean, I have so many stories to tell you that would be so powerful. I mean, it'd probably bring us all to tears. It is. It's probably one of the best feelings finishing an event than it is being on the event. Because on the event, they're killing animals. And Colonel Orr talked about the taxidermy. We really believe in that taxidermy, because if we take a warrior who's maybe in isolation, maybe struggling with some stuff, and we give them an animal, we get it mounted, and it's hanging on their wall. Every time they walk by that animal, they think about that time.
Yeah.
They think about, that experience. Our escorts are phenomenal. I mean, our escorts are decorated veterans. They've been there. They've done that. So there's nothing that these warriors can come and say, well, you don't know, because we do know. We've done it. We've been shot. We've made that ride to Longstool. Like, we've done it all. So we're able to really connect with them on a much, much deeper level. And then our job is to connect them with the landowners, because they want to know their story. They want to hear it. They want to appreciate it. But these warriors don't really like telling it. And so we do that. We bridge that gap and we get them opened up and talking. And it's a healing process that is probably better than any, counseling appointment that they have scheduled.
What would you say? What percentage of landowners are actually veterans or have served?
Very few.
Very few. Wow.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Even in Texas?
Yeah, there's a couple, but it's actually pretty slim.
Wow.
The problem is ranches are really expensive.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
We already talked about
That's
that.
a big problem.
Nobody in this room can afford a ranch.
No.
Instead
Not
of going
yet.
into the military, these guys were successful businessmen. They made a bunch of money. They bought a ranch, and now they help by taking these guys out. So, yeah, it's a win-win across the board, and it's just every place we go is just ludicrously nice. And it doesn't matter if it's a concrete bunkhouse or a mansion on a 20,000-acre ranch. They're all fabulous. Where did you go when you went with us?
I think it was over near Bandera. Can't remember exactly. YO does sound familiar though.
It might have been the YO.
That's a great place. I mean, that's where this all started. But yeah, I mean, they're all amazing. You just, it's incredible. Normal people don't get to live like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
And again, the patriotism, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When you have folks like that open up their house and you get somebody like me that's just like, I'm ready to tell stories. Let's do this. The entire group changes. I can feel that.
Yeah, and we do, in all of our events, we do a little closeout ceremony. And we don't encourage, we don't push, it's really just us. We tell them, hey, just get up and say thank you. That's it. That's all you have to do. And it never fails. Whenever they get up, they just feel compelled. I mean, they pour their heart out. And you really, truly can see what an event like this has done for them in their own words, not our words.
Man, it's amazing. That's amazing. I tip my hat to you guys. What you're doing is incredible, and anything that helps our brothers and sisters, adjust. I don't know if adjust is the right word, but normalize. There you go. Is a great thing. I have a question. What type of officer were you?
Infantry.
Yeah.
Is there any other branches?
Oh, I just meant did you were you one of those or were you one of those?
You're so silly.
No, I got lucky because it wasn't by design, but because I came in enlisted, I was able to make it to E5 rank.
Okay.
And then go into the officer corps. So I was probably a different officer than most.
Yeah, I got that.
I protected my guys.
That's
probably more than I should have.
That makes complete sense. What about you, sir?
I was one of those.
Yeah. I could tell by just the way he was looking at me. I could see that face. I was like, oh shit, I don't know about my ass. Yeah.
Shit, I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of role models. Like I said, from the time I was born until right now, I mean, I've spent my whole life around Marine officers and other stellar Marines to kind of learn from. I mean, I went to DOD schools as a kid. I lived on base my whole life, and you just can't get away from it, right? So hopefully all of those people kind of molded me, shaped me, kept me out of too much trouble, gave me the right perspective on what kind of officer I was supposed to be. I mean, I don't know. They promoted me a couple of times, so
Yeah.
it couldn't have been terrible. But yeah, I don't know what kind of officer I was.
That's all I want to know.
I want to know what else you were going to ask.
No. The way he just stared at me, I'm shutting up.
So let's ask about your transitions out of the military, right? Especially from your perspective as being senior officers. What is that like leaving? Because I was just a part of 4 Block. If you guys aren't familiar with 4 Block organizations, and if you're listening and you don't know what 4 Block is, they're another great organization. They have a 10-week course twice a year. So I went through once as a student, and the second time I went through as a coach, and I got assigned an 05 in the Navy and an 06 in the Army. And I'm like, how the hell do I talk to these guys, right? But it was completely humbling because they took all of the info I had to say because I've been out for 5 years now. say all that to say, how was your transition out? What were some of the snags you saw? What are the things that you'd like to pass on to the next, guy that's coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my transition out was, pretty seamless. I went through a Soldier for Life program, which Congress had enacted whenever we kind of realized that people would be on a mountain in Afghanistan and 3 weeks later they'd be on the street of Houston. We realized we needed to figure out a little bit better transition there. And so I went through the Soldier for Life program. It's a good program. It's probably more tailored for lower enlisted, no education, background, doesn't really know what they want to do. By the time, I got out, I had, master's degrees and a few other degrees. So I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and that was to get into the business world.
Right. But I would imagine it's still pretty scary because you are leaving
is.
that comfort of being in the military for so long to say, hey, you're going to be on your own. And I know, because I just talked to these gentlemen, I know that they're like, I wish I could share with them, like, you're going to be okay, right? But listening to me is not going to help them.
Yeah,
right? But maybe coming from you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a fear factor in there because you go from something you're very good at and it's all you know to something that you have to learn and try and be good at. And all the accolades, all the awards, all the rank that you've gained over the past 20 plus years mean nothing. Yeah. You come in as essentially a private that has done nothing and you have to start your life over. And that is a tough transition. It's also very different working with civilians. There is a learning aspect there. They don't respond to you the same way. They don't work as hard as you think they should. Their priorities are different than what you think they should. And so there's a learning aspect, I think, for both ends. And I think it's for the veteran to understand, yes, absolutely, they're going to be okay. And veterans do very well in the business world as soon as they accept that they've got to start over. But the other piece is the business owners. You have to understand what you're getting. And you're getting somebody that's 100% loyal, is going to probably work harder than most, doesn't know anything. You got to teach them, but they're going to learn so fast. And I think the biggest mistake business owners have is they don't challenge those veterans hard enough. If you have a veteran, if you listen to this and you're hiring a veteran, challenge them. Work them harder than anybody else, and they're going to end up being one of your best workers, guaranteed.
See, that's what I do to you all the time.
You shut your mouth.
That's what we call it work. We call it challenging. From now on, that's it.
No, that's amazing. That's awesome. When you first got out, so you said you wanted to go into business world. Did you do that? And then I'm sorry, I was laughing at what he was saying. I'm a little slow, man. So did you do that and then go into the? I mean, are you still doing that part time or
no? So I ended up once I got out, I ended up taking a job with a Fortune 500. Ran almost all of East Texas. Did that for 7 years, and then fully retired.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
All
right.
I gotta ask this question because how old are you, man?
I am 45.
Oh shit! Yeah, I was like, he can't be much older than me. I said, but damn, he looks like he's got his shit together.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. Another 5 years.
Okay.
All right. Sorry,
what about you? What was that transition like, especially for?
Well,
I know
Guy
it's been a
talked
little
about
while.
the fear factor part of it. I think that's an Army thing because Marines are afraid.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's different. I was older. They don't have a lot of 45-year-old colonels in the Marine Corps. So it's time to go at some point. And you got to realize it's a young man's game. And you can't be 55 years old and doing the same things that 18-year-old men are doing because it's really hard to keep up at that point. Mm-hmm. And someday you'll be there. But so I was ready to go. You spend almost 30 years with the organization, and that's enough, right? There's a whole bunch of young guys need to take over, and move on with that. And I was very okay with that. So I retired with the help of a couple of friends, started my own business, started an ammunition manufacturing company right over in Needville. And so that's my real job, is running the ammo company. We build custom rifles, we do some other stuff, but the nonprofit organization, the Combat Marine Outdoors program, we're volunteers doing that. So I don't make any money doing that. The entire board of directors sits on the board for free. I wrote that in the bylaws, that if you want to be on the board of directors, you got to do so for nothing. I double their salary every year, by the way. And I think that's the right thing to do, right? But the transition from being a Marine to where I am now was very simple. I mean, I didn't really see any conflict there. I didn't have an issue making that change. It was time to go.
You were prepared.
I don't know if you ever prepared, right? It's always there's gonna be some trepidation. There's gonna be a little bit of, well, if you're in the Army, some fear associated. But it's different for me, though, right? And having spent my entire life in the Marine Corps, it was time to go, right? And I think it's much easier for me than a young man who spends 4 years, 8 years, especially if he's injured and he's medically retired. That's a whole nother story. That is much more difficult than what I had to do. A lot more difficult, right? And for those guys, I would agree with what Guy said. You know, take what you learned in the military and what you were taught, and a lot of that is not really tangible, and apply that same thing in whatever venue you want to do in the civilian world, and you'll be successful. Yeah. So don't even think that there's a chance that you won't be, because you will be. And the business owner comment was fabulous. These guys are the best this country has to offer. So challenge them, and they'll excel.
Can you expand on the intangibles that we have? Can you let the veteran listening know what are their intangibles that they don't realize that they have?
There's a discipline aspect. This guy's going to chime in here a little bit, but the discipline aspect of this, at least in the Marine Corps, I don't know about the Army.
There's 3 Army guys right here, sir.
And I'm still not scared. The level of discipline that's ingrained in soldiers and Marines and sailors is so far beyond what the average high school, college kid today has that it's almost not even worth talking about. You know, these guys have been ingrained in a sense of selfless service. They've been ingrained with a sense of loyalty and devotion that goes so far beyond the average American's understanding. And you can't really teach somebody those things without giving them the experience that we've done through the services. The shared hardships, the endurance of going to combat, the endurance of being through whatever training program you went through. Those things bond those young men and women as a team and build those intangibles in them. That's why, you know, recruit training takes more than, you know, a 5-hour PowerPoint presentation. You have to get them together, get those shared experiences and that shared hardship, and build those intangibles into these young men. They probably already exist. That's why they volunteered. We just kind of pull those out a little bit more through service. And a lot of those things you don't really realize until you get out, right? Which is kind of strange. But, you know, while you're in the Army, while you're in the Marine Corps, you may just think, you know, I'm the average Marine, I'm the average soldier.
Normalcy.
Yeah, because everybody around me is just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Until you get out and you go into the civilian world, like Guy said, and wow, I'm not normal. He's really not normal, by the way.
I could see it.
Yeah, but there's so many intangible things that the veterans bring to the workforce, to the civilian community, and it's all too often overlooked.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. Like you take, I mean, your normal work day in the military, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. Yeah. Easy. I mean, easy.
That's if you're home.
Yeah, that's if you're home.
If you're deployed,
it's 365.
4 hours of sleep a night and go back to work.
And so you take somebody like that and you put them at a desk for 40 hours a week, you're only getting 50% of what they're capable of. And so you've got to challenge them to get that other piece out of them, because if you don't, they'll become a recluse on you. They will start kind of withdrawing and saying, well, is this all I have to do to be a good employee? And as a business owner, you got to not accept that. You got to know what you have. You've got a racehorse, and it's just loping around the arena. You've got to get on them and whip them, and you've got to get them running. And if you do, they're going to grow to be one of your best leaders.
Yep, I definitely agree. I think veterans and they're great business owners. You know, they're great business owners. They're great entrepreneurs. They're great. Well, they're successful in anything they do as long as they put 100% into it.
If they can apply it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I really like what you said about it, really trying to engage them. And for me, I think the other part that veterans should know, especially when you're freshly out, this is just my opinion, is if you're going to go for work at a job because you have to take a paycheck, you have to fill that other 40 hours yourself. You know, if the business isn't going to fill it, find an organization that you're passionate about and get back in touch with these veterans, because as you can see right here, right, CMO will put you to work. Or, you know, find you a business partner that'll work you like a dog, you know. Thanks, Raul. Or just
anytime.
You got to find the other way to feel it, because you're so used to being busy. And it took a while for me personally, right? Like I was working at the warehouse. I hated it because I didn't hate the job. I didn't know what to do with the rest of my time. I wasn't challenged enough.
Yep.
And then when I finally figured out a way to challenge myself, I got better at finances. I got better with my family, and then things just took off. Like personally for me, that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think one of the most dangerous things is, you know, a veteran getting out and being idle. Because they're going to fulfill that time, and it may not be the right way. I mean, in our organization, we stay in touch with these veterans. We'll reach out to them, text, call. We continually stay. Once you've come into the organization, you're going to hear from us routinely, and we check up on them. I get calls from them all the time. But a lot of it is some mentorship as well, because we'll get veterans that can't find a job. So we'll try and partner them with people that can help them. Or they don't know what to do, so we'll talk to them and try and help them that way. That's not our bread and butter. It's not what we do. It's not what we're the best at. But we do anything we can to help them.
I love that, man. That's awesome.
What's up?
No, I thought you were gonna say something.
No, I'm good, man. That was good.
No, yeah. So, excuse me. So y'all go year round with these hunting trips. You said you do fishing also now. What's one of your best experiences been so far?
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I've been doing this for 18 years. I don't know if I can pick one. Honestly, I'm going to tell you that it was the very first trip. Because that's what framed my entire perspective of this organization, of this vehicle that we use to help veterans. It was a powerful moment for me, right? I mean, I didn't expect it. I expected these guys to have fun and go out to some ranch, and I mean, I'd never been to a Texas ranch before. I didn't know anything about it, and the ranch part of it, the hunting, the dinners, that's not what really took me. That's not what really surprised me. It was the change in those 6 young Marines from start to finish, and it was huge. I mean, there's 6 guys who were all burn victims. They had compression bandages. They were missing noses and ears. And I mean, these are guys they never wanted to leave the hospital. They didn't want to go out in public. They didn't want to go do anything. I almost had to order them to go on this trip. And they just had a blast. And they did everything out there. I mean, I didn't do it for them. And honestly, the beauty of the program is that the veterans that go on the program make the trip. That they're the ones that make it what it is. It's not me. It's not Guy. It's the interaction between those guys and the landowners and that whole thing. I shouldn't have to do anything, right? And I don't do a whole lot of trips. I have a real job. But those guys getting together to share those experiences, to sit around a fire pit at night and talk to each other about things that they would never say to another human being. Because the other human beings that they're around all the time have no idea what they're talking about. No frame of reference, right, about what you've been through, what you've experienced, what you've done. But he does, and he does. And so the ability to share those experiences provides an enormous vehicle for healing in those environments. And it is powerful. So all we do is kind of provide that opportunity for that to happen, and it seems to always happen. One of the best parts about the program, it's not the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Right? Now, those guys do great things. But if you go out with us and you need to go out with us again at some time in the future, we'll take you out again. Right? And I think that's a big part of what this program does for our veterans. And that is, it will always give them something to look forward to. So if everything else in life kind of goes to shit and you literally have nothing left to do, you're always going to have something left to do. You can go out with us again, go kill some big giant animal, and be around a bunch of warriors and have a great time at some beautiful ranch. And so you have that to look forward to. Hopefully that's not all you got, but if that is all you got, well, then we're in, right?
Right.
And we'll do it. So it's not a one-and-done deal.
Yeah.
We're committed to the health of all of these veterans. And the only thing keeping us from taking more guys into the outdoors is just fundraising, right? We got to raise more money. Guy and I are doing a sporting clay tournament this weekend up on the west side of Houston at the Hoist tournament. We're taking 4 guys up there. Wonderful people, great organization. They write a big check to us every year. It's a fabulous deal. But that's one of hundreds of events that we have to do to raise money to take these guys out. So, if we raise $2 million this year, we'll take 1,500 guys in the outdoors. And we'll continue to do that as long as we're able to do that.
Yeah, and I'll share mine as well. This one, honestly, was pretty powerful for me without giving, specifics, names, et cetera. But I got a call. It was about 2 a.m. From one of our warriors in a real bad spot, real bad spot. I didn't really have an answer for him. I'm not a counselor or psychiatrist or anything professional help-wise. And so I reached out to CMO and I said, look, here's what I got. I got a young warrior that he needs us. And is there anything we can do? And in 24 hours, that warrior was with us on a fishing trip that was not planned, that was not scheduled. We made it happen, and we got him 25 miles out red snapper fishing where he didn't have cell phone service or anything. All he had was other warriors on a boat to help him heal. And I talked to him 3 days ago, and he just got a job, and he's doing awesome.
Man, that's amazing. That's what it's all about.
It is.
Jeez.
That's powerful because I think one of the string that we've had of guests come on. I know you guys don't know, but we had a sailing crew come on, skeleton crew, and there's something about the water.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's something about the water that vets like crave, and being out there and being away from all that, doing things and experiencing things with like-minded veterans that can really ground you and bring you back to where you've got to be. And so if all of this that you guys are hearing out there, don't forget there's a number you can text or call at any time. It is 988. if you're military or a veteran, you can press 1. Don't be afraid to reach out, to use that. Somebody will text you. And if you're in crisis, they will help you. And if you're not in crisis and looking for resources, they'll connect you to that too. And of course, you guys always have us on here at the Charlie Mike podcast. You can always reach out to us. We've got plenty of connections now. So let us know.
Yeah, he was talking about the skeleton crew. They're about to go around the world on a like sail around the world. That doesn't even.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marines do that all the time.
That's because they're lost, looking for home.
They're just on their Navy Ubers.
Yeah.
How do you think that you continue your service, right? How do you think that serving the community ties into our military service?
You mean with the program?
I mean, I'm yes with the program, but I mean
just in
for
general?
veterans, yes. Specifically.
Yeah, I would say that veterans need to get involved because we can be cynical, right? We can sit back and and we can look at something that's going on and we ourselves say, what are they thinking? They can do better than that, or this can be done better than that. And I tell veterans that are listening, get involved with your community because they need you. They need your leadership, whether it's your homeowners association or city council, or go to a city meeting and just be there. But also reach out to other veterans. I mean, we're talking about what we do, right? And that's what we do is we get veterans together. And once you get veterans with veterans, there's just something powerful about it because you understand each other. The language is different. The mannerisms are different. There's a lot of veterans in the community. The humor's a little dark.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, absolutely. Get involved because a lot of our veterans have done a lot of stuff. I mean, they've ran a lot of stuff, whether it's a motor pool or, anything, warehouse, whatever, arms room. I mean, those are very big responsibilities that they've had to, undertake. They've got the skills to help. Get out there and help.
Wow. Yep. That's it. I think we had somebody come on and say they used the term service after service, and that was something that stuck with us both. And we were like, man, that's awesome. I love the way they said service after service. So being involved in the community, your local community, your veteran community, it's definitely opened the doors and showed myself things, that I didn't realize I was missing until I started to do things, in that community. So that's awesome. I agree. What you got, Will?
How do you think veterans who are facing hard times, right, can reflect back on their military service to build back better, right? That's a horrible term. What is a value or a trait that veterans have to rely on outside of discipline to face that adversity they're facing?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is veterans have to realize that there's a lot of people out there that care for them. And I think that's the first thing to go for some of these veterans is they feel like no one understands them, no one will listen to them, no one will hear them out. And that's completely the opposite. I mean, we want to be here. We want to hear you. We've struggled, right? All of us. I mean, if you've been in military service for any amount of time, there's been a point in your life where you've struggled. And if you don't have, that relationship to reach out with somebody, reach out to somebody else. I mean, you talked about 998. That's incredible. I've actually called that number to talk to them, and they are phenomenal on the other end of the line. And that's a last ditch effort, right? But the first thing is understanding that there's people around you that want to help, and you may not even know them, right? But there's people that want to help you. Don't lose sight of that.
I appreciate it. So I do. I I want to recognize both of you for coming in and really appreciate you guys spending some time with us. So I do have one final question, but before we get to it, what is the best way that somebody can get involved with CMO? Where can they visit? How do they follow you? How do they get in touch with you?
How do they donate?
Yeah, so there's a website, obviously, combatmarineidoutdoors.org, O-R-G. There's a donate button right there. We have a PayPal site. The guy that I have really running the program from day-to-day operations is a Master Gunnery Sergeant Garcia. He's a phenomenal guy. The guy is just, he is the heart of this program. And I'm a figurehead. He actually runs the program on a day-to-day basis, and he's phenomenal. The contact information is on the website. We have a Facebook page, too, for Combat Marine Outdoors. Either of those places you can go to and find contact info, and you can also find donate buttons for that. So all you got to do is make a phone call, send a text, get a hold of either Master Gunnery Garcia, Master Gunnery Sergeant Perez, Master Gunnery Sergeant Leal. Got a lot of Master Gunneries that are working with the program, but they'll put you in the right direction. And you know, there's a little bit of vetting that has to go on because you have to qualify for the program, right? And I wish we didn't have to do that, but you do. Not a ton. Little tiny bit of paperwork will help you through it to get you out. Just make sure that you're who you say you are, right? And we'll get you out with the program. But it's easy to get a hold of us. Really, really simple, and especially if you're a warrior that just wants to get out and go do something with us. Should be pretty easy to donate to. That PayPal button is pretty easy to do, or the donate button on the website.
We also have a lot of raffles that we do too, and those are awesome. I think we have one going on right now.
Yep.
So even if it's not a straight donation, get you a raffle ticket. I mean, some of those raffles are pretty nice.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely. So go ahead, William. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my final question for the both of you is: we are Charlie Mike, the podcast. Charlie Mike means continue mission. What does the term Charlie Mike mean to you?
So that's the whole reason we're doing this, right? I mentioned it earlier that we have a responsibility to these young men and women. Everybody in this country does. In a democratic society, we as society commit them into harm's way. And we owe them the knowledge, the understanding, the trust that if anything were to happen to them in that service that would bring them into harm's way and cause them to be injured, wounded, killed, that we're going to take care of them. Society is going to take care of them in whatever way that we can, right? And the federal government can't really do that. They try. There's just no way for a governmental agency to do what we do. I think one of the reasons that we've been so successful, and I think we're successful, honestly, is we just give a shit.
Yeah.
We care as an organization, and we're filled with guys like Guy Gerard. It's one of those things where you got to commit time. I tell people all the time, the most valuable thing that you have is not money, and it's not property, it's not land, it's time. You're never going to get any more. You're looking at your phone because we're about out of time. In order to really help these guys and women, it takes time. You got to spend time with them, right? Because the money helps, right? That allows us to be able to continue to do what we do and take these guys out. But we spend time with them, and a whole lot of time. It's pretty powerful how just spending a couple hours, couple days with these guys will change their lives. It's been pretty powerful.
All right, Guy. What do you think? What does the term Charlie Mike mean to you?
It's kind of hard to follow that up.
I know. I'm sorry. Actually, I really wanted to do.
Next time I go first. No, for me, it's that. I mean, I didn't have to be a part of the program. I didn't really feel like I needed to be a part of the program until I committed myself to the program. And now, even as an escort, every event I go on, I get something out of it, and it's extremely rewarding. And so for me, I don't know where I'd be without CMO today. They helped me, even when I thought I didn't need CMO, they were there for me. And even though I'm an escort, I needed healing too and didn't even realize it until I went on these trips. And even today, every trip I go on is just so powerful. It's so much fun. It's so enjoyable. We're able to do what we do because people care about our veterans, and they donate, their time, they donate their land, they donate their money, and we take that and we're good stewards of it, and we put a veteran exactly where they need to be when they need to be there. And so for me, Charlie Mike to me is just keep doing what I'm doing, right? Which is trying to touch one veteran at a time for as long as I can.
That's amazing. You guys, we definitely appreciate you both coming on the show today and spending time with us. Your drive, we appreciate you driving out here.
No problem.
Yeah. So we just want to, from William, you got any closing?
No, yeah. I want to say thank you both for being here. For you listeners out there, make sure you reach out to CMO. They're doing great things, and with your help, they can do even more, right? And if you're a veteran out there, you're just like need to get back in touch. Like, really reach out. These guys will get you hooked up. I was never actually on a hunt. What I did is I drove them out. I helped drive them out there. Nice. So I got to see the experience on the way back. And you're right that there's just so much out there that you can do, and I really highly encourage you, the veteran, to get involved with CMO. There's so many good things. I've got an old first sergeant in San Antonio. He's just like loves them, right? Like, all right, let's do it.
Yep. So you guys, again, we appreciate y'all coming in, and thank you for spending time with us, and we look forward to hearing about from you guys again.